All right, what's up, everybody? Thought I would do something a little different, and maybe I can make a series of this if it is popular and you guys like it. But this is all about fantasy league picks, and we are running at Martinsville this week, so I thought I would share with you guys kind of what I am seeing going into the Martinsville race, who I think is going to do well, and kind of how I'm going to approach this. I did really well. I was in one fantasy league last year. I made the final four for it. I'm in a couple this year. I've got a win in one league, and the other one is the NASCAR App Fantasy League. I'm second in my league there, and I'm in the top 10% of all the people playing it. So, been doing pretty well, but thought I would kind of share some of my insights here. And let's start talking about the race coming up this weekend in Martinsville. If I can get to the next slide, here we go. Okay. All right. The new car changes everything. So I love looking at history. I love looking at how a driver has done at a track, looking at where their average finishes is, where they are in the most recent finishes at that track. But this new car changes everything. And now it is just as important to look at how drivers have adapted to the new car and who's kind of got this new car figured out versus who is struggling with it. So, yeah, right now I think it is just as important to look at what's going on right now and who's got this new car figured out as it is to look at a driver's history on the track. So, with that being said, we don't have a lot of history at short tracks with the new car. We have no history at Martinsville with the new car. So, what I'm trying to do is, in addition to looking at the history of Martinsville, I'm looking at Martinsville and Richmond as being very similar tracks for purposes of this analysis. They're both short tracks. In both of them, the drivers have to take care of their brakes. Rolling the center of the corner is extremely important. The only other track that is somewhat of a short track is Phoenix. It's a mile track. Some people consider it a short track, some people don't. Since we don't have a lot of short track data with the new car, I'm going to reference Phoenix several times in this too, because that's the only thing even close to a short track that we've seen him run on, again, other than Richmond last week. So we're going to put a lot of emphasis on these two tracks and, of course, the history at Martinsville. So I'm going to give you two dark horses and I'm going to give you five kind of what I would call starters. I picked five because in the NASCAR Fantasy app, that's how you do it. And there's over 100,000 people playing it on the NASCAR app. So that's probably something that'll hit home for a lot of people. But let's get into this. Two dark horses and then five that I would consider starters for a fantasy team. Dark horse number one is going to be the closer, Kevin Harvick. Now, considering that he is a Hall of Fame caliber driver, it's a stretch to call him a dark horse, but the SHR team as a whole really struggled in 2020. They haven't really established themselves as a top tier team in 2000. Did I say 2020? Really, it was more 2021. I should fix that. But they struggled in 2021 and they have not really established themselves as a dominant team in 2022. So I still kind of consider him a dark horse. But even in that dismal season of 2021, and I apologize for that typo right there, Harvick managed a ninth and a 12th place finish at Martinsville, which was better than a lot of the places he ran. Also, his two best finishes this year have been at the two shortest tracks, sixth at Phoenix, and he got a second last week at Richmond. So I think SHR is starting to get the ship righted a little bit. I think their short track program is probably better than their program at the intermediate tracks or the super speedways. So I kind of think I'm going to see Harvick back half of the top 10. He is my first dark horse. My dark horse number two is Brad Keselowski. Brad has done extremely well historically at Martinsville. Finishes of third, fourth, third, and third at the last four Martinsville races. So four Martinsville races, no finishes worse than a top four. That tells you he, as Darrell Waltrip used to say, he's got this joint figured out. He knows how to get around the paperclip. Now, I know he's not in Penske equipment anymore, but he still knows how to drive the track. And I'm seeing improvement in the RFK program. Okay, they're getting better, and I'm not saying they're a contender, but I'm saying they're getting better, and they could be a good dark horse pick. Last three races, 13th place average finish, a 12th, a 13th, and a 14th. That is way better than the 3 races before that, which were 27th, 24th, and 23rd, a 25th place average finish. So the fact that we are seeing improvement in RFK, and we are going to one of Brad's strongest tracks historically, I'm looking for Brad to contend for a top 10. I don't know if he'll make it all the way into the top 10, but I expect him to run maybe somewhere from 9th to 12th or something. But I think Keselowski's going to have a pretty good day at at Martinsville, relatively speaking. Now, let me get into my 5 starters that I would pick here. Alex Bowman, the showman. If you like him, he's the showman. If you don't like him, he's the hack. He won the last race at Martinsville, October 21. So last time we were there, he put it in victory lane. A little bit of a controversy, moved Denny Hamlin with about 8 laps to go, and Hamlin kind of threw a temper tantrum during Bowman's burnout. He finished 8th last week at Richmond and 14th at Phoenix, so he's got decent finishes. I don't think the Hendrick short track program is quite as strong as the Joe Gibbs Racing short track program right now. I know Joe Gibbs had a lot of struggles and a lot of problems early on, but I feel like those were all at bigger tracks, and I feel like they have kind of figured out this new car a little bit, and they have especially got it going the right direction at short tracks. Now, this was really tough to make a 5th starter out of Alex Bowman. I picked him over Kyle Larson because Martinsville is just not one of Larson's good tracks. Okay, Larson's best finish there was in 2016 when he was with Chip Ganassi Racing, and he finished 3rd. Last year he finished 5th and 14th. So as much as Larson was a dominant driver last year and seemed like everything on his way to the championship, Martinsville just wasn't that good to him. So I am going with Bowman over Larson here as my number 5 starter. Now, my number 4 is Joey Logano. Again, strong finishes in the last 4 Martinsville races, 4 finishes, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. Of the active drivers right now, best average finish over the last 4 races at Martinsville. Okay, so he, again, knows how to get around this place. Penske, I feel like, is struggling at the short tracks right now with this new car. We've been to Phoenix, we've been to Richmond. The Penske drivers have 1 top 5 in the last 3 short track races. That's going back to, I guess, last year's Phoenix race. And that one was a 4th place by Ryan Blaney. So they just haven't been getting it done at the short track races lately. But the tight racing, the short track nature of this, that plays right into Joey's aggressive style as a driver. He's probably the most aggressive driver in the Cup Series right now. And the fact that even though the Penske program I don't think is quite up where it needs to be for short tracks, I'm still going to say Joey Logano, with his history and his aggressive style, he will get that thing in there. I'm picking him as my number 4 starter. Number 3, Denny Hamlin. Got a ton of momentum with his win at Richmond. Martinsville is very unique, but if it's similar to any place, it's similar to Richmond, okay? So his win at Richmond, that should translate well into a strong run at Martinsville. 3rd place in last year's spring race, had a chance to win the fall race at Martinsville, but again, got moved out of the way by Bowman, I think with about 8 laps to go. And I think JGR right now has the strongest short track program. Every JGR car was in the top 10 at Richmond, 3 of them inside the top 6. So the fact that we're coming to a track that is somewhat similar to Richmond, and not just Denny Hamlin, but Gibbs as a whole had a strong showing there. I am putting Denny Hamlin as my number 3 starter. He could very well contend for a win. I think any of these top 3 guys that I pick could contend for a win, but I'm saying Denny, number 3 starter at Martinsville. Now, the next 2, it could go either way between who I'm picking here, but I think both of these next 2 guys are going to be the ones battling it out for the win at the end. Number 2 starter, William Byron. 5 top finishes, 3 top 5 finishes in the last 4 Martinsville races. So again, consistently up front. 18th at Phoenix, not good, but 3rd at Richmond. Had a chance to win, but got beat by newer tires. combination of his finishes at Martinsville, his run last week at Richmond, I think right now he is the strongest of the Hendrick drivers at this point in time going into Martinsville. So I'm saying William Byron number 2, and I really think he is going to be the one battling it out for the win with my number 1 starter, which is another Joe Gibbs driver, Martin Truex Jr. Truex won the last 2 spring races at Martinsville. So he's got 2 wins at Martinsville, a very strong 4th place run at Richmond, including a stage win. Okay, he ran top 5 all day, never finished worse than 4th in any stage at Richmond. He's got a strong history at Martinsville, and he's consistently in the top 5 last week at Richmond. That makes him my favorite for Martinsville. This is interesting because if you remember, it wasn't that long ago that the knock on Martin Truex was he couldn't win at a short track. Now, Richmond and Martinsville are 2 of his strongest tracks. So there you go. I have got number 1 starter, Martin Truex Jr. And just to recap, my 5 are Truex, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Joey Alex Bowman. My dark horses are Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. Now, this is meant to be done all for fun, for Fantasy League, just for bragging rights and to have a good time. This is not intended, and nor should it be used for gambling purposes. And remember, in a race, anything can and usually does happen. No results or predictions can be guaranteed. And if you do choose to gamble, please gamble responsibly. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think of these picks and who you think is going to win or dominate at Martinsville. Let me know what you guys think. Hope these works out well for you guys and hope it helps you guys in your fantasy league. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your picks are and let me know how it goes. Thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all later.